Hello and welcome to another VRChat video developer update. My name is Straz from the VRChat community team. Today I'm happy to announce the upcoming release of one of the VRChat community's most anticipated features, Groups. Groups is a new system that will make it easier for everyone to find the coolest communities and creations VRChat has to offer. There are genuinely so many unique and incredible communities in VRChat. People come in here to fly jets together, explore worlds, make music, party, have virtual car meets, simply hang out and chat, play games and make cool stuff together. Yet as it stands, it can be a little difficult to actually find all those people. Groups goes a long way to fix that, making it easier for both new and existing users to find communities that interest them, as well as making those same communities a lot easier to run. With Groups, a new player might come into VRChat, see someone's group tag, say flight, and then ask about it. The person who is in the group might tell the user that they meet up with their group a few times a week to do dogfighting in VRChat. All of a sudden, that new user is being sucked into a community they never knew existed. On top of that, they now have a chance of being exposed to an entirely different group of people, all of which could be potentially new friends. Maybe you have a large community as it is, maybe running out of a service like Discord. In large communities, it can be hard to know when folks are online or when something is going on. Now though, you just sign in, look at your group, and join on someone that's online and in an open group instance. Groups are incredibly powerful. We see them as equally vital for VRChat as, say, avatar and user-created worlds. In this video, we're going to go into what they do, how they work, and what future possibilities they may lead to. There's also something else that's important to share. That is, how we'll be releasing groups in the first place. We think that Groups is going to be a massive change to VRChat, one that's unlike anything that's ever happened to the community before. While we ultimately believe that this is a good thing, we want to be very careful, as quite frankly, we are very aware that our community is our lifeblood. To that end, we're going to be releasing Groups a little bit differently than most features. Instead of releasing everything all at once, we're going to be rolling it out in multiple stages. The first stage, which will be coming out in the next week, will build the foundation of Groups, but it will be missing a few features we intend to release in subsequent stages following the initial release. This method helps us deal with some of the technical challenges of releasing a system like Groups. We'll be doing our best to work in as much user feedback as we can, although our priority will be in getting the most important and central features out the door first. In the next stage, which should arrive a short time after the initial release, we intend to add in search, as well as respond to the aforementioned user feedback. From that point on, we plan to iterate and add in more features, some of which we've already planned out, and some of which are dependent on the user response to Groups. We're a little leery about giving exact timelines here, but we're fairly comfortable saying that there shouldn't be months between each of these releases. With that out of the way, let's get into the details. When the first stage of Groups is released, anyone with VRChat Plus will be able to make up to 3 new groups via the VRChat website. Eventually, you'll be able to do this in-app, but for starters, group control will be done via the website. Building a complex UI takes time, and we don't want it to hold up the release of Groups. For now, think of this stage as early access Groups creation. We'll also know that you probably just said, wait, VRChat Plus is required for making a group? And immediately had a few questions, so let me try my best to answer them. First, while you'll need to have a VRChat Plus account to make a group, you won't need one to join a group. Groups is designed to be a base system for everyone to use, not just users with VRChat Plus. Second, we're unsure if VRChat Plus will always be required to make a group in VRChat, but to start off with, we're making it a prerequisite to slow the flood of users making groups. When you make a group, you'll have to pick its name as well as a few other things, like an identifier, description, group icon, banner, and if it's public or private. Let's talk about that first one, picking a name. All groups will have both a name and an identifier. A name is, well, you know what a name is. A group name can be whatever you choose, as long as it follows the community guidelines. It isn't unique though, and multiple groups can have the same name. The identifier though must be unique. The identifier consists of 3 to 6 characters in a string that you choose, followed by a randomly assigned set of 4 numbers. This is often referred to as a discriminator. Unlike the group name, the combination of the group's identifier and its discriminator is unique. If you used other services where people are likely to have similar names, you probably recognize this setup. After that, you'll need to enter in a description for your group, which will be displayed to other users, provided your group is public. You'll then have to pick how people will join your group. Will you allow anyone to join? Or will you require people to request permission? Or maybe you want it to be invite only. Groups can be set as private or public, but as a note, once you've set it to one, you won't be able to switch it to the other. Public groups will always be public, and private groups will always be private. We're doing this primarily for privacy reasons. Quite frankly, if you're in a group you think is private, you probably wouldn't appreciate it too much if it suddenly went public. So you've got your group made, but now what? What can you do with it? At their core, groups are a tool to pull people together around a specific interest. This means that you might find groups around things like anime, a specific TV show or sport, or you might find them around VR-specific activities, like going to raves, dancing, role-playing, or flying. Simply put, groups help people find new communities. We see them as a sort of onboarding tool. Users can see the groups others are in and then inquire about them. If you click on someone's profile, you'll be able to see what public groups they're in, which might inspire you to check them out yourself. This way, finding a community is easier than just spending time in public instances trying to make small talk with people you might never see again. We want people to see more of VRChat with less friction, and groups will go a long way towards achieving that goal. But that's just level 1. We want people to be able to show off the groups they're in, and so users' nameplates will change depending on what groups they're in. Certain members of a group will also be able to send out announcements, notifications that will appear to every single member of a group. Want to let your group know an event is going on? You can do that. Eventually, we'd like to have some sort of bulletin board system, although this won't be coming at launch. We also want groups to be genuine organizational communication tools. To that end, group members can have permissions. Say, you can have members who can invite others and those who can't. Those are called roles, and can be used for a variety of purposes. You might want to have a certain role for tour guides who can send announcements, and maybe another for the purposes of moderation. We also think that people will be able to do some real out-of-the-box thinking with roles, and we're excited to see what people come up with. We know that there are a lot of social groups that already exist in VRChat. Typically, these groups meet via Discord. They'll typically host events where people get to meet each other and hang out. That's awesome. But what happens when there isn't an event going on? How are you still supposed to make friends? Up until now, that's been a bit difficult. If you haven't previously met someone before, you wouldn't have them on your friends list and wouldn't know they were online. Likewise, in large social circles, it's possible that a few people are hanging out and would love to have you, but you can't see them and they can't see you. Groups help solve this problem. When you look at your groups page, you'll be able to see all the instances your group members are in that you're able to join. This way, you can immediately hop in and hang out with folks, even if you're not their friend yet and have never met them before. Another major feature of groups is group instances. Group instances are a new instance type that works similar to something like friends instances. If you make a friends instance, everyone who has you on their friends list will be able to join. With groups instances, everyone in that particular group will be able to enter the instance. We think that group instances will save people a lot of time who are hosting and running events. We also think they'll make a great and easy way for group members to hang out with each other. We want to make it easy for you to find groups that match your interests. And so we also want to make it easy for other folks to find your group. To have others join your group, you can simply give them your identifier and discriminator. They can type it in the Groups tab in the main menu, or they can type it in on the website. Both ways will allow them to easily join your group or request to join it, depending on how you have things set up. Likewise, every group will have a short link associated with it. This link can then be handed to others so they can easily join the group. If you've ever been invited to a Discord server, you generally know how this works. While it won't be in the initial release, we're planning on incorporating a group search feature on both the VRChat website and in the app. You'll be able to search for groups and join ones that are public and accepting requests. Once again, this feature won't be in stage 1. We want to give people time to make their groups, invite their friends, and get used to the system a bit before we add in search. We also want to make sure that there are plenty of high-quality groups for users to join before allowing everyone to start searching for them. This will give existing communities some time to switch over and use the system. We're anticipating that we'll turn search on during stage 2, so you shouldn't be without it for too long. Groups is a huge system that we think is going to change VRChat forever. Most of the features we've mentioned today will be released in the first groundwork stage of groups. Others will be released, along with polishing dictated by your feedback, in the weeks following the initial stage launch. We want to push these updates out relatively quickly, as we'd like to get groups up and running as fast as possible. With that said, we are releasing groups right before the holidays, so expect a bit of a break between stages as we hang out with our families and regroup a bit. Likewise, in a few months, we'll have another developer update where we'll be keeping you apprised of our progress, as well as what features we anticipate to bring to the group system next. As previously mentioned, one of the reasons why we're releasing groups in stages is to incorporate feedback into the final product. To that end, we encourage users to provide us with their thoughts via the VRChat feedback board. We're excited to get groups out there, and we can't wait for you to see what we're working on next.